Okay, Zach, we're inside the vehicle. The engine is idling, and I notice I see a lamp. I think it's the DPF lamp. What are we getting ready to do now?
Lou, we're getting ready to do a stationary or a park regeneration of the after treatment. The lamp that you see lit on the dash cluster right here is the DPF, the diesel particulate filter in the after treatment, is getting plugged up somewhat and could need cleaned.
Okay.
There are two ways to clean the DPF, the diesel particulate filter. One way is to do a park stationary regeneration. A second way is to go out with a heavy load on the interstate and apply a good load to the engine, and the exhaust heat itself will regenerate the diesel particulate filter.
So generally just driving at highway speeds?
Highway speeds will do it, but what we wanted to do is show people what a park stationary regeneration looked like and sounded like.
So we are in a parking lot. What's sort of a procedure that you would recommend before we start the regeneration?
What we need to do, what drivers need to do if they're going to do a stationary regeneration, is they need to park in a safe location, not around anything that's flammable. And even though it looks like we're out in the woods here, we're actually in a parking lot. Set the parking brake, and then begin the stationary regeneration. Now, we have an owner's manual that has all the specific details, both around the safety precautions and also what the lights mean and how the procedure works. So it's in the owner's manual. It would be good for every driver to read this when they get ready to do a stationary regeneration, or just review it before they ever operate their truck.
Sure. Well, I'm ready. Demonstrate how we do a parked regeneration.
Okay, the parked regeneration, there's a toggle switch on the three-way switch on the dash here, and it has start, and it has the symbol for the diesel particulate filter, and then it has stop down at the bottom. So what we want to do is to start the stationary regeneration. So you push this switch in, and you hold it for 4 to 5 seconds in some cases. As soon as the engine RPM starts to increase, which you just heard, the stationary regeneration has begun. Now, this engine will sit here and operate at 1100 RPMs for about 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
And that regenerates the soot in the after treatment and cleans it up, reduces it. So, and as soon as it gets done with the regeneration process, the engine speed will return to normal idle, which is normally about 600 to 650 RPMs.
Now let me ask you, when you push that start button and there's are all trucks built just like that with that kind of switch?
No, many trucks are slightly different, but they all have a means of doing a stationary park regeneration. So the driver should refer to their owner's manual for their vehicle, and that'll have specific instructions on how to begin a stationary regeneration.
Now let me ask, what's the purpose of stop? It says on that switch, stop.
There's a stop side of this three-way switch, and if you push the stop side, that inhibits any regeneration. So the soot load will never be reduced inside the after treatment. So if you push that, the only time a driver should ever push the stop side of that switch is if the lot requirements require that. For example, if you're around a petroleum pickup, a distribution point, or something like that, and they require you to inhibit all regeneration, then the driver should push that stop button. But when they leave the property, they need to remember to put the switch back in the center to turn that stop function off.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will not regenerate, and you stand a chance of maybe plugging up your diesel particulate filter.
And that's not good.
That's not good.
So here we are. You've executed a park regeneration. The RPM went up, and I noticed that DPF lamp went out, but there's another lamp that came on. So explain that.
Let me explain that to you. That is it's right here in this dash cluster. Has a symbol of a thermometer with the DPF filter symbol underneath it. And what that means, that's the high exhaust system temperature light.
Okay.
What that means is your exhaust temperature coming out of your after treatment is somewhere around 800 degrees Fahrenheit or hotter.
Okay.
Now that's a new light that most drivers have not seen. If they, in most OEM trucks, if they pull the visor down, they will see some written notice of what these lights mean,
okay,
and what their action should be. about reading that.
Now, Zach, those symbols, are those constant symbols in the industry, or are they the same?
Those symbols are SAE defined symbols and lights for the dash. So the OEMs that use those lights will use these symbols to identify both the high exhaust system temperature and the diesel particulate filter being plugged.
So when we get ready, that the system cleans itself, I mean, we've gone through a park regeneration, what will we notice?
Well, when the regeneration ends, the engine speed will decrease back to 600 or 650 RPMs. And it just did it.
It just did it.
So, I mean, it came back to 600 RPM, so we have completed our stationary regeneration. The truck is ready to be placed back in service.
Okay, and I noticed that both lamps are out. The high exhaust temperature and the DPF, they're both out.
That's correct, Luke.
So we're ready to go back to work.
We're ready to go to work, so let's get to it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Luke.